The wind howled through the Himalayan peaks as Dr. Sarah Chen adjusted her oxygen mask, her eyes fixed on the unusual readings from her ground-penetrating radar. For 3 months, her international research team had been investigating anomalous energy signatures deep within the mountain range. Today, those readings had suddenly spiked off the charts. Dr. Chen, Marcus Rivera, her chief geologist, called out over the howling wind. "The new data confirms it. There's definitely a structure down there, and it's not natural." Sarah checked her tablet again, studying the three-dimensional rendering. Nearly 2 kilometers beneath the surface lay what appeared to be a perfect sphere, roughly half a kilometer in diameter. The energy signature pulsing from within defied every known law of physics. "Protocol dictates we should wait for approval from the UN Science Council," Dr. Yoshi Tanaka, their theoretical physicist, reminded them. His breath fogged in the bitter cold as he studied his own readings. "But at this rate, the energy signature will be visible from orbit within days." Sarah made her decision. "We don't have days. Whatever's down there is waking up. We need to reach it first." Within hours, their team had deployed experimental drilling equipment, technology that had been developed for deep space mining, but never tested on Earth. The diamond-tipped laser drill cut through the ancient rock like butter, guided by AI systems that adjusted for geological stress points. As they descended through the newly carved shaft, the temperature inexplicably dropped instead of rising as it should have with depth. The air became crisp, almost artificially clean. Their instruments began displaying impossible readings. "These walls," Marcus murmured, running his gloved hand along the smooth surface of the shaft. "The drill didn't do this. The rock is transforming." He was right. The rough-hewn tunnel was reshaping itself, becoming a perfectly circular passage with walls that seemed to shimmer with a faint, silvery light. The deeper they went, the more pronounced the effect became. Finally, after what felt like hours of descent, they reached a vast chamber that simply shouldn't have been possible. The sphere they'd detected from above was actually a massive structure that appeared to be made of a single piece of unknown metal. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid when viewed directly. "This is beyond anything in human history," Yoshi whispered, his scientific detachment cracking in the face of what they were seeing. "The energy readings suggest it's been here for at least 100,000 years, possibly much longer." Sarah approached the sphere, her heart pounding. As she drew closer, a section of the surface began to ripple and flow, forming what was unmistakably a doorway. A soft blue light spilled out from within. "It's responding to our presence," Marcus said, checking his instruments. "But there's no radiation, no detectable hazards. It's inviting us in." A voice suddenly filled the chamber, not sound in the conventional sense, but pure meaning translating itself directly into their minds. "Welcome, children of Earth. You have finally found us." The team froze as a figure stepped through the doorway. It was humanoid but clearly artificial, its body composed of flowing silvery metal similar to the sphere's surface. Its face was featureless except for points of light that served as eyes. "I am the Guardian," it said, its voice now coming from its form rather than their minds. "This archive has waited 127,843 years for humanity to reach the necessary level of development. You are ahead of schedule. But given the circumstances, that may be fortunate." Sarah found her voice first. "What circumstances? What is this place?" The Guardian's eyes flickered. "This is one of many seeds planted across your world by those you might call the predecessors. We were left to watch, to wait, and to prepare humanity for what was to come. And now, finally, you are here, just as the ancient enemy approaches once again." The air in the chamber seemed to thicken as holographic displays suddenly sprang to life around them, showing images of space, of vast fleets of living ships, of worlds burning. The Guardian's next words sent chills down their spines. "Your civilization stands on the brink of its greatest challenge. The choices you make in the coming days will determine not only your own fate, but the fate of countless others across the galaxy. The question is, are you ready to learn the truth about what humanity really is? Sarah looked at her teammates, seeing her own mix of fear and determination reflected in their eyes. They had come seeking knowledge, but had found something far more significant: humanity's legacy among the stars. And now they had to decide whether to accept the burden that came with that legacy. "We're ready," Sarah said, speaking for all of them. "Show us everything." The Guardian's eyes brightened. "Very well. But remember, once you know the truth, there is no turning back. Your world will never be the same." As the ancient archive began to reveal its secrets, none of them could have imagined just how right those words would prove to be. Humanity's true history was about to be unveiled, and with it, a destiny that would shake the foundations of the cosmos itself. Inside the archive, time seemed to lose all meaning. The Guardian led Sarah and her team through chambers that defied physics, spaces that were somehow larger inside than outside. Holographic displays filled the air around them, showing visions of Earth's hidden past that challenged everything they thought they knew about human evolution. "Your species did not evolve by accident," the Guardian explained as they watched scenes of ancient history unfold before them. "The predecessors saw potential in your primitive ancestors, a unique combination of adaptability, creativity, and determination. They began a careful program of guided evolution, but never directly interfered. You had to develop on your own." "But why?" Yoshi asked, his scientific mind struggling to process the implications. "Why invest so much time and effort in our species?" The Guardian's silver form rippled, its lights dimming slightly. "Because they knew what was coming. The harvesters." The holographic display shifted, showing massive organic ships, each larger than a city, moving between the stars. These vessels resembled nothing so much as giant predatory creatures, their surfaces covered in what looked like living armor. "They are as old as the galaxy itself," the Guardian continued. "They emerge from the void between spiral arms every 50,000 years to feed on civilizations that have reached a certain level of development. They do not simply destroy, they consume. Technology, knowledge, genetic material, even consciousness itself. Everything that makes a species unique is absorbed into their collective." Marcus stepped closer to one of the displays, his face pale. "And they're coming here, to Earth. They are already on their way. Your radio transmissions, your primitive space exploration, it has drawn their attention. The predecessors knew this would happen. It is why they created the seeds, why they chose humanity to inherit their legacy." Sarah watched as the holographic display showed the harvesters devastating world after world. "How long do we have?" "Months, at most. But there is hope." The Guardian led them deeper into the archive, into a chamber that hummed with power. At its center floated a crystalline structure that pulsed with inner light. "This is the key. It contains the genetic templates that will unlock humanity's true potential, abilities that were carefully woven into your DNA by the predecessors, lying dormant until they were needed." "What kind of abilities?" Sarah asked, though part of her already knew the answer would change everything. "The power to manipulate energy and matter at a quantum level. Enhanced cognitive abilities, regeneration. Each human carries different combinations of these traits, all waiting to be activated. But there is a cost." Dr. Tanaka stepped forward. "There's always a cost. Once activated, these changes cannot be reversed. Humanity will be transformed forever. More importantly, the process will be noticed by the harvesters. They will accelerate their approach. You will have weeks instead of months to prepare." The team exchanged glances. The weight of the decision before them was staggering. They had come seeking scientific discovery, but now held the fate of their entire species in their hands. "If we do nothing," Sarah said slowly, "what happens?" The Guardian's eyes flickered. "The harvesters will arrive. They will consume your civilization. Humanity will become nothing more than another set of memories in their collective consciousness. And if we activate the key, then humanity will have a chance to fight back. But you must understand, this is not just about survival. The predecessors chose your species for a reason. They saw in you the potential to become something greater, to perhaps finally end the cycle of harvest that has plagued this galaxy for millions of years. Sarah looked at her teammates, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes. They had all dedicated their lives to advancing human knowledge. Now they faced a choice that would advance human evolution itself. What if we contact the world governments first? Marcus suggested. Get international approval. There isn't time, Yoshi replied, his eyes fixed on the displays showing the approaching harvester fleet. By the time they finished debating, it would be too late. The Guardian spoke again, its tone grave. The choice must be made now. The key's power has already begun to leak into your world. Those more sensitive to its influence are already experiencing changes. If we do not control the process, the awakening will be chaotic, dangerous. As if to emphasize the point, their phones suddenly came to life, displaying news alerts from around the world. Reports were pouring in of unexplained phenomena. People developing strange abilities, children displaying impossible knowledge, incidents of spontaneous technological manipulation. It's already starting, Sarah whispered. She stepped toward the key, its crystal surface reflecting ripples of light across her face. We don't really have a choice, do we? We have to give humanity a chance. The Guardian's form shifted, becoming more solid, more present. There is always a choice, Dr. Chen. That is what makes your species unique. Your ability to face impossible decisions and find a way forward. But know this, whatever you decide here will ripple across not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The predecessors believed humanity could become something never seen before in the history of the cosmos. The question is, do you believe it too? Sarah reached out toward the key, her hand hovering just above its surface. In that moment, she felt the weight of billions of lives, of humanity's entire future, resting on her decision. The crystal pulsed, as if sensing her presence, waiting for her choice. Behind her, Marcus and Yoshi stepped forward, placing their hands on her shoulders in silent support. They had started this journey together, seeking knowledge in the depths of the earth. Now they would finish it together, standing on the brink of humanity's greatest transformation. Sarah took a deep breath and made her choice. The fate of humanity would never be the same. The moment Sarah's hand touched the key, the world changed. Energy coursed through the chamber, the crystal's light intensifying until it filled every corner of the vast space. The Guardian's form became translucent, merging with the waves of power that now surrounded them. It begins, the Guardian's voice echoed, no longer coming from any single point, but from everywhere at once. The awakening of humanity's true potential. The energy flowing from the key didn't hurt. Instead, it felt like remembering something long forgotten. Sarah watched in amazement as patterns of light began flowing beneath her skin, tracing what looked like circuit paths through her body. Beside her, Marcus and Yoshi were experiencing similar transformations. "What's happening to us?" Marcus asked, his voice filled with wonder rather than fear as he watched his hands shimmer with internal light. "Your dormant genetic potential is being activated," the Guardian explained. "But you are only the first. The key's influence is already spreading across your world, awakening similar changes in others. Those with the strongest genetic markers will transform first." The holographic displays around them shifted, showing real-time footage from around the globe. In cities, towns, and villages across every continent, people were beginning to change. Children were the most affected, their young minds and bodies more readily accepting the transformation. The predecessors designed the process to be selective. The Guardian continued. Different individuals will develop different abilities based on their genetic predisposition. Some will become healers, able to manipulate biological systems at a cellular level. Others will develop enhanced cognitive abilities, able to process information at unprecedented speeds. Still others will gain the power to manipulate energy, matter, or even spacetime itself. Yoshi gasped as his tablet suddenly came to life without being touched, its display filling with complex equations that seemed to write themselves. I can see how it all connects. The unified field theory, quantum gravity. It's all so clear now. Sarah felt her own changes settling into place. The world around her seemed sharper, more defined. She could sense the quantum fields that permeated space, could feel the subtle interactions of matter and energy at a fundamental level. More than that, she could feel the presence of others undergoing similar transformations across the globe. A growing network of awakened consciousness. The harvesters will detect these changes, the Guardian warned. They will realize that humanity has accessed predecessor technology. Their response will be swift and violent. How long do we have? Sarah asked, already knowing she wouldn't like the answer. Days, perhaps a week. They will redirect their entire fleet to Earth. They cannot allow another species to successfully activate predecessor genetics. Marcus stepped forward, his body still shimmering with residual energy. Then we need to prepare. We need to organize those who are changing, teach them to use their abilities. Yes, the Guardian agreed. But more importantly, you must help them understand what they have become. The powers awakening within humanity are tools, not weapons. The predecessors did not design you to be soldiers, but rather to become something entirely new. The displays shifted again, showing scenes from ancient history, the rise and fall of civilizations, the slow march of human progress. But now they could see what they couldn't before. Subtle influences, careful guidance, the hidden hand of the predecessors shaping humanity's development without ever directly interfering. Your species was chosen for your creativity, your adaptability, your unique ability to find solutions where none seemed possible, the Guardian explained. The harvesters represent pure consumption. They take, absorb, and destroy. Humanity has the potential to represent something different. Creation, innovation, growth. Sarah watched as more reports flooded in from around the world. Governments were scrambling to respond to the transformations taking place among their populations. Some reacted with fear, others with cautious optimism. But everywhere, people were coming together, those who had changed helping others through their own transformations. We need to go public, she decided. The world needs to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what's coming. No more secrets. The Guardian's form solidified slightly. The archive contains a complete historical record, including evidence that will convince even the most skeptical observers. But be warned, once humanity knows the full truth, there is no going back. Your civilization will have to unite and evolve, or you will not survive what is coming. Yoshi, still processing incredible amounts of information through his newly enhanced mind, looked up. The harvesters have never failed before, have they? Never been stopped. No, the Guardian admitted. They have consumed countless civilizations across millions of years. But they have also never encountered a species like humanity, one specifically prepared by the predecessors to face them. Sarah felt a new sensation through her enhanced awareness, a sense of movement in deep space, massive objects changing course, heading toward Earth. The harvesters had noticed. They were coming. Then we better make sure we're ready for them, she said, her voice firm with determination. It's time for humanity to learn who they really are, what they're capable of becoming. The predecessors left us this legacy. Now we have to prove we deserve it. The Guardian's eyes brightened. Then let us begin. There is much to teach and very little time. As they prepared to leave the archive and face a world forever changed by their discovery, Sarah couldn't help but smile. Humanity had spent countless generations looking up at the stars, wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew the truth. They weren't just part of a larger cosmic community. They were its designated defenders, chosen by an ancient civilization to become something unprecedented in the history of the galaxy. The real question was, could they live up to that destiny before the harvesters arrived? The next 72 hours transformed Earth more dramatically than the previous 1,000 years. as Sarah and her team worked with the Guardian to distribute the archive's knowledge. Humanity underwent a metamorphosis that defied all expectations. Major cities had become epicenters of change, their populations rapidly developing abilities that seemed like magic, but were actually advanced applications of quantum physics. In New York, a group of awakened engineers had already begun redesigning the city's infrastructure, their enhanced minds allowing them to see and manipulate energy fields directly. In Tokyo, children were spontaneously accessing the global information network with their thoughts, their young minds adapting seamlessly to their new capabilities. The transformation is proceeding faster than anticipated, the Guardian observed as they monitored the global situation from within the archive. Your species' adaptability continues to exceed our projections. Sarah watched the holographic displays showing scenes from around the world. Despite the chaos and fear that had initially gripped many regions, people were coming together in unprecedented ways. Those who had awakened first were helping others through their transformations, forming spontaneous communities that transcended traditional national boundaries. But will it be enough? Marcus asked, his newly enhanced senses allowing him to perceive the approaching harvester fleet even from Earth. They're coming faster than we thought. The Guardian's form shifted, displaying tactical projections. The harvesters have diverted their entire fleet, something they have never done before. They recognize the threat you represent. Yoshi, who had been processing vast amounts of predecessor data through his enhanced cognition, looked up from his work. They're afraid of us. Not of what we are now, but of what we're becoming. He was right. The data streaming in from awakened individuals worldwide showed that the transformations weren't stopping. They were accelerating. Each generation of awakened humans was stronger than the last, their abilities growing more refined and powerful by the hour. We need to coordinate our defenses, Sarah said, her consciousness extending through the growing network of awakened minds. The harvesters will try to overwhelm us with sheer force. The Guardian brought up detailed schematics of the Archive's defense systems. The predecessors left you more than just genetic potential. There are weapons stored within this facility, technologies that were meant to be unlocked only when humanity was ready. As if in response to these words, new chambers began opening throughout the archive, revealing arrays of devices that hummed with barely contained power. But they weren't weapons in the conventional sense. They were tools designed to enhance and amplify the abilities now awakening in humanity. These devices, the Guardian explained, are meant to work in harmony with your evolved capabilities. They are not meant to fight the harvesters directly, but to help you reshape reality itself. Sarah approached one of the devices, her enhanced perception allowing her to understand its purpose instantly. They're not just weapons, they're keys to unlock the fundamental forces of the universe. Marcus examined another device, his expression one of wonder. With these, we could potentially alter the fabric of space-time itself, create defensive barriers by manipulating dimensional boundaries. Yes, the Guardian confirmed. But such power requires perfect coordination. A single mind, no matter how enhanced, cannot control these forces alone. You must work together, combining your abilities in ways no species has ever achieved before. As they studied the predecessor technologies, reports continued flooding in from around the globe. Governments were rapidly reorganizing around awakened individuals who could comprehend and address the coming threat. Traditional power structures were giving way to new forms of organization based on ability and compatibility rather than politics or nationality. But not everything was proceeding smoothly. In some regions, resistance to the changes had led to conflict. Fear and suspicion threatened to divide humanity just when unity was most crucial. We're running out of time, Yoshi warned, his enhanced mind processing the latest data. The harvesters will reach our solar system within 48 hours. Sarah felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her. They had started this chain of events, and now they had to see it through. Then we need to accelerate our preparations. The Archive's knowledge needs to reach everyone, not just those who have already transformed. The Guardian's form brightened. There may be a way. The network forming between awakened minds. It could be used to share information instantly across the globe. But attempting to connect billions of transforming consciousness at once, the risks are significant. What kind of risks? Marcus asked, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. If too many minds connect too quickly, the resulting psychic feedback could be catastrophic. But if we don't try, humanity will face the harvesters as individuals rather than a unified force. Sarah stepped into the center of the chamber, her consciousness reaching out to touch the growing network of awakened minds. Then we don't have a choice. We need to risk everything, or we lose everything. The Guardian's form began to pulse with energy. Very well. I will help you establish the initial connections, but what happens after that will depend entirely on humanity's ability to adapt and unite. As they prepared to attempt something unprecedented in human history, Sarah couldn't help but wonder. Had the predecessors known it would come to this? Had they seen in humanity not just the potential for physical evolution, but for a transformation of consciousness itself? The answer, she suspected, would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of all life in the galaxy. The connection began as a whisper in the collective consciousness of humanity, a soft hum that quickly grew into a symphony of billions of minds awakening to their true potential. Through the archive's ancient technology and Sarah's guidance, the transformation that had begun in isolated pockets now swept across the globe like a tidal wave of enlightenment. The neural network is stabilizing, Yoshi reported, his enhanced mind processing the vast streams of data flowing through the collective consciousness. 90% of Earth's population is now connected. The Guardian's form pulsed with approval. The speed of adaptation exceeds all previous simulations. Your species continues to surprise us. Through the network, Sarah could feel the last remnants of resistance and fear melting away as people experienced firsthand the power of unity. Ancient grudges, political divisions, and cultural barriers became meaningless in the face of shared consciousness and understanding. But there was no time to celebrate this achievement. The Harvester fleet had entered the solar system, their massive bioorganic ships casting shadows across Pluto's surface as they passed. They're deploying their advance forces, Marcus warned, his consciousness extending through the network to coordinate Earth's defenses. Multiple contact points around the outer system. The holographic displays showed the harvester ships spreading out in a familiar pattern, the same strategy they had used to consume countless civilizations before. But this time, something was different. This time, their prey was ready. Through the collective consciousness, humanity activated the predecessor devices stored within the archive. Across the globe, awakened individuals took their positions, their enhanced abilities amplified and coordinated through the network. They expect us to fight conventionally, Sarah observed, watching the harvester fleet's approach. They don't understand what we've become. The Guardian's form shifted, displaying tactical analyses. The harvesters have never encountered a unified consciousness before. Their strength has always been in overwhelming divided opponents. As the first wave of harvester ships entered Mars' orbit, humanity revealed its true power. Instead of launching weapons or raising shields, Earth's defenders began manipulating reality itself. Billions of enhanced minds working in perfect harmony, using the predecessor devices to bend the fundamental forces of the universe. The space around the harvester fleet began to warp and twist. The very fabric of space-time responded to humanity's collective will, creating impossible geometries that trapped and confused the biological ships. By the stars, the Guardian whispered, its ancient programming struggling to process what it was witnessing. You're not just using the tools, you're improving them, creating new applications we never imagined. It was true. Through the network, humanity's collective creativity and innovation had transformed the predecessor technology into something entirely new. Children's imaginations combined with scientists' knowledge. Artists' vision merged with engineers' precision, creating defenses that defied conventional understanding. The harvesters, faced with something utterly outside their experience, began to falter. Their attempts to adapt were met with ever-changing tactics as humanity's collective consciousness anticipated and countered their every move. "They're retreating," Marcus announced, monitoring the fleet's movements. "The first wave is pulling back." But Sarah and the others could feel through the network that this wasn't over. The Harvester fleet was regrouping, preparing for a final, desperate assault. Their very nature wouldn't allow them to accept defeat. They would rather be destroyed than leave potential prey unconsumed. "Then we give them no choice," Sarah declared, her consciousness reaching out to every awakened mind on Earth. "We show them what humanity truly is." Through the network, she shared her plan. Not with words or images, but with pure understanding that rippled through the collective consciousness. Billions of minds grasped the concept simultaneously, adding their own insights and improvements in real time. As the Harvester fleet launched its final attack, humanity responded with something unprecedented in the history of the galaxy. Every awakened mind on Earth, working in perfect harmony, reached out to touch the quantum fabric of reality. The predecessor devices activated in synchronized perfection, channeling power that dwarfed the output of stars. Space itself began to change, not just around Earth, but throughout the solar system. New laws of physics took hold, laws written by humanity's collective will. In this transformed space, the Harvesters' biological technology couldn't function. Their ships, unable to adapt to the fundamental changes in reality, began to dissolve. "Impossible," the Guardian breathed, watching as humanity rewrote the rules of existence itself. The predecessors theorized this level of control, but never achieved it. The Harvester fleet, faced with complete dissolution, finally did something they had never done before. They retreated. Their massive ships turned and fled, breaking through the transformed space and vanishing into the depths of interstellar space. As the immediate threat passed, humanity's collective consciousness began to shift focus. Through the network, they could feel the truth. This was just the beginning. They had not just defended Earth. They had evolved into something new, something that could reshape the very nature of reality. "The predecessors chose well," the Guardian said, its form beginning to fade. "My purpose is complete. The future belongs to you now." Sarah reached out, touching the Guardian's dissolving form. "What do we do next?" The Guardian's final words echoed through the collective consciousness. "That, children of Earth, is entirely up to you. The universe awaits." As the Guardian's form disappeared completely, humanity stood united at the threshold of a new era. They had faced extinction and emerged transformed. The Harvesters would return one day, perhaps with new tactics and greater numbers. But by then, humanity would be even stronger, even more evolved. For now, they had work to do. A galaxy to explore, civilizations to protect, and a destiny to fulfill. The predecessors had given them the tools, but humanity had proven they could surpass even their makers' dreams. The future was unwritten, and for the first time in history, humanity held the pen.